before COVID. Hopefully that's not something that is a regular occurrence through this season, and we can get through as scheduled.
Getting a look at Max Lynch in the ruck, the former Pie for the Hawks, and it's just normal service resumed for the Pies as it goes straight inside the 50, and Bianco's on the end of it. 35 out, 45-degree angle, and it's just brilliant clearance work from Collingwood at the moment.
Jack Scrimshaw, hands on head. Not much you can do there when it comes out so easily. Max Lynch against the old side maybe got a little bit mixed up. Taylor might have been calling for it, I reckon. He put it straight down his throat.
So Adams looking for yet another goal assist. Can Bianco finish off the work? Starts at left, a little bit too far left. Might not have the carry. It's taken right on the line by Hoskin Elliott, who's absolutely cannoned that into the goalpost.
Hardwick back on for the Hawks. Didn't feature in those first couple of terms, taking the kick-out duties. They'll be rapt to have him back, distributing the ball out of the back line, as with this man, James Sicily.
Hardwick's such an important player for Hawthorn, just so reliable. That big mark taken on the outer side for the Hawks. That was Lynch. Turns it over to Hawthorn. All up toward half forward for the Pies. Darting kick inside forward 50. Cox sprawls forward and takes the mark. With the prescription glasses on this afternoon, or the goggles, whichever way you want to go with it, Mason's got another opportunity in front of goal.
He's found himself in really good spots, taking a couple of great marks. He's already kicked a goal, so maybe doing the trick, the goggles. As foreigners and funny as they look, we're just saying, hopefully it doesn't get too dark. It looks like they've got the tinged lenses on today for the day game down in Morwell, but hopefully the big fella can put this through.
From just inside the 50, he struck it reasonably well. He struck it very well indeed. Taylor Adams reaches up and gives the big fella a pat on the head. Mason Cox with his second, and Collingwood have got 14 in the first of the second half.
Just really hard to defend. The defenders would have been caught offside. Max Lynch took a great contested mark on the wing, but then turned it straight back over, and everyone's caught offside. And as all good forwards are, just ready, sniffing an opportunity to run back inside 50 and get on the end of it, and he was good enough to finish it off. And it's been a little bit of the difference as well in the game, just the quality of finishing all over the field from Collingwood, their foot skills, and then especially in front of goal, just getting really good looks. You want to be kicking goals, from anywhere between 0 to 45 metres out on that 45-degree angle, and they've been delivered really well so far by the Collingwood players.
So, Wise take it out of the middle again. He's Ward at half-back. What does he bring to the table from a Hawks perspective, Steve?
I think he's really mature for his age. Unfortunately, he turns that one over in the middle of the ground, but from all reports, got a really, really good training history, can run all day, really disciplined. So you tend to find that a lot of the young kids that come into the system are really good with ball in hand playing offence, but they need to learn the defensive mechanisms of the game at AFL level. But he's picked that up really, really well. And been a feature in most of the sessions, and really neat left foot as Big Mason rolls that one through for another one.
So Mason with his third, and now Collingwood just keep skipping away. They've got 15 on the board, the Pies.
You're loving this as a Pies supporter. Plenty to celebrate. 15 on the board. Got plenty of time left in this practice match. They just look so dangerous, just attacking with a big key forward up there, just a huge presence. He did really, really well. He turned around, showed great ball handling skills and agility to turn around and pop that one through. So Goggles are here to stay. They're working their magic at the moment. Maybe we might see them pop up with some other players jumping on board. Who knows?
Might be the way to go. 3 goals on debut for Mason Cox, the bespectacled version. No, he's got the go-go gadget arms, but he's added another gadget to the arsenal.
Lid might be off soon, Joel. What do you think?
Well, if the Collingwood Twitter account was onto it, you just got to keep things in perspective as a fan, I guess. But it'd be hard to just remain your composure with the way things are going at the moment. Scrimshaw through the middle, Hamble to Moore. The pressure's been outstanding from the Pies. Adams is in there to try and disrupt things. Ward with a couple of touches. Sicily's caught, almost run down by McCreary, who's just an absolute battering ram. And now Noble has a go. He picks Scrimshaw off and surely wins a free kick. John Noble just ramming home the advantage for Collingwood.
Got some pretty special wheels on him, John, today.
The yellow and white numbers, goes inside the forward 50, and a mark to Myercheck.
Just take your pick, line up if you're in the Collingwood forward line at the moment. They are all over Hawthorn when they get the ball, and when they go forward, they're just long and direct and playing pretty simple, basic footy, really, at the moment. But Collingwood forwards just in the right positions, reading the ball, first to it. Another really good look, 20 metres out, straight in front.
It's been all the Magpies in Morwell, and it continues with another to Myercheck. His third of the game, and Collingwood are out by 73 points.
It's again off half-back that Collingwood's pressure's so good, just forcing the Hawks players to overuse the footy. And one too many, and unfortunately it was Jack Scrimshaw that got caught, but then just straight down. It could have been either one of Cox, Myercheck or Elliott that could have raffled that, to be honest.
Country footy, you see the people getting around with the raffle. I reckon Collingwood have got a few winning tickets.
They've got all the winners at the moment.
They're going to take home 3 meat trays.
Just an absolute feast. Seagulls on a hot chip, just like we saw Hawker earlier.
Yes,
in the coverage.
Hawthorn Spectators cranium, I think that was.
Yeah, the way the Pies are feeding their forwards, they're not going to go hungry. Whereas up the other end, the poor old Hawks forwards are getting a little bit cold inside 50 as Collingwood go forward again.
This time through Tyler Brown. His kick wobbles its way to half forward, where it's pretty easily picked off. Hawks try and reload and just manufacture the ball. O'Meara, he's got it on the wing, hemmed in by Noble. Has to go backward. Hardwick, runner-up in the best and fairest last season, been such a consistent contributor. Kick smothered, dribbles away into the centre of the ground. Ramble flares it across to Hartigan, the former Crow. McCreary bears down on him. Kicks up the line. Nick Dacos read it well, just got his kick away under some pressure. Morrison's there for the Hawks. Hamble to Newcomb, who was so good in the opening term, had an absolute plethora of the ball. Now to Nash, and Newcomb provides some overlap run. The kick was just a little bit overcooked. Kajitsky will try and make it work in the forward pocket, hard up against the boundary line. He sprayed it out to the right-hand side, out of bounds on the full.
A couple of really good players for Hawthorn through the first part of this game have been John Newcomb and Lockie Bramble. New additions to the side halfway through last year, but it looks like they've kicked on and looking really comfortable at the level and gelling with their roles within this team really, really well. A couple of really good highlights so far for the Hawks.
Side bottom at half-back for Collingwood. Of him to return to some of his best this season. Warple off hands. There is Bramble again. Shields along the boundary line for the Hawks into the action. Kicks up the line. Should be a free kick to Gunston there, who was dragged off it. Won't quite be paid, and then the flying shot at goal has somehow found its way through. That's a terrific goal from Warple, who got out the back, threw it on the boot, and he's been able to find the answer for Hawthorn.
Originally, I thought, what are you doing, taking the advantage from there? He's under pressure on the boundary, and I think it would have been a free kick to Gunno for the holding there, but Warps straight onto it, threw it on the boot. Outstanding goal.
That's a hell of a finish on the run from James Warple.
This might be the spark the Hawks needed. They needed something special just to get them going. In terms of something on the scoreboard, just a bit of reward for effort. They've dialed up their pressure a little bit on the Pies, and I think that's probably, as a Hawthorn supporter or fan or member, you just want to see the boys put on that pressure and have that effort. Fair enough if the opposition in Collingwood are too good, but I think they can just dial up their pressure, make it a little bit harder for the Pies going forward.
Lynch and Cox in ruck. Lynch rose over Cox and then got a toe poke there. Josh Dacos has a go. Gunston's up sliding among the traffic. Cox hacks it forward for the Pies. Oh, nice little step for Blake Hardwick to create some separation. Measured the pass out wide, and the Hawks have turned it over once more. Maynard with it for the Pies. He's going to come on the 45 into the corridor for Cox. Oh, Mason's hand pass didn't quite find its target. He went looking for Nick Dacos, and there were Hawks everywhere ready to swoop. Gunston's hand pass missed Ward. Sicily's up from half-back, got his head ripped off by Kruger, and then a little bit of afters from Josh Dacos. And so Sicily will take the free kick, all uncharacteristic, turned it over in the middle of the ground. Tyler Brown dropped the mark. It was forced forward, though. Eventually picked it up, kicked it inside the 50. Elliott's got 5 already, been super dangerous. Pretty keen to see it over and out of play there.
Just press the dump button on the last 30 seconds there, I reckon, for both sides. It started off with Mason Cox and ended up in the opposite forward pocket after a very scrappy bit of play. Just that's, you know, the skills not being at the level quite yet. A little bit of fatigue creeping in, and early in the season, that's what you get sometimes.
You see these periods in these practice games, don't you, where there's just a really noticeable lull across proceedings, normally in the third quarter. The end isn't quite in sight, but the fatigue is starting to amass. It was noticeable in the Carlton St Kilda game the other day, and it will be throughout a lot of them.
Yeah, the lactic acid isn't nice in the legs. The heart and lungs are burning as well. At this point, you're just sort of not quite at your fittest in terms of match practice. And it gets dialed up a level, and yeah, it's exactly why you have practice games.
Opportunity maybe for Begg at half-back there a moment ago
Free
for the
kick.
Magpies. There is going to be a free kick here to Ginnivan.
Didn't see what that was for against Granger Barras, maybe just sort of holding on. Again, comes in very quickly from the Pies, really strong and direct, putting the Hawthorn defenders under pressure, giving away the free kick, and he looks like he's going around the body and puts it through.
Doing it nicely is Jack Ginnivan. So he's got another for his accounts, and the Pies can raise the bat because they've cracked the ton here at Morwell.
Tell you what, it's been a really entertaining game to watch. Both sides are trying to move the ball pretty quick and long and direct and get it into their forwards. With that wind at their back, the Pies just happy to attack the square, let the tall players go to work, and Kruger and Myercheck and Cox when he's been down there. And then when it hits the deck, they're just as dangerous with Ginnivan and Elliott running onto it. It looks super dangerous, the Pies at the moment.
So back in the middle, back to that 73-point lead. Steve Gillen, the Premiership Hawk, with you alongside myself, Joel Peterson, on KO Sports. A Collingwood fan, it's going to be a pretty nice start to your weekend, I'd imagine. Grundy takes it away from the middle of the ground. The Dacos boys thought about linking up perhaps, and maybe they will now, because Josh hands it off to Nick, and Nick Dacos shows his class. Oh, that's what Pies fans have wanted to see for so long. And they come to him from everywhere. And a little bit of a celebration after as well.
What was that?
That looked like the Globo Gym Purple Cobras.
Yeah.
Bit of dodgeball.
Love that. Oh, that was outstanding passage of play. The older brother giving it to his younger brother for his first goal in, well, not quite AFL footy, but his career anyway. And wearing the 35 on his back, he knew it was going straight through as soon as he kicked it. Little salute. Wraps up his brother. Everyone gets to him.
We're going to see the Globo Gym here right at the end with, I think it's Crisp who runs in. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, just at the end there. Just a little celebration. First of many, hopefully, for him and his career, and in the black and white. Great to see.
Absolutely.
Such a great feature of our game, the father-son rule, and paying dividends for the Pies right now as they go again.
And it is Josh this time who hands off to Maynard at half-back. Try and launch another attacking foray here, Collingwood. Wobbly kick inside the arc, and that's going to be Mopped up across half-back. Morrison there, who's got the ball in hand. Tries to launch it to the outer side for Hawthorn. Margin 79 points the way of the Pies. Guinness bumps off the tackle. Handball to Reeves. A chance here for Hardwick. Free kick's going to come back to the Hawks because Morrison got bumped after he got rid of the handball. In fact, no one's just going to go to Hardwick. So the Hawks trying to launch back to the town end here at Morwell Recreation Reserve. Hardwick kicks it to left half forward. That won't stay in. It'll go out in front of Lewis.
Yeah, that's the difference. Hawthorn going forward, it sort of dribbles out across the arc, whereas Pies are just so much cleaner, so much more direct, getting it in deep, forcing the Hawks defenders under pressure, whereas at the moment, Collingwood just getting it on their terms.
Here's McDonald. We've liked his work. Connor McDonald kicks to full forward. Kajitsky in the pack, but the Pies again able to mop up through Moore and Noble. Kick right along the boundary line. Henry just pulled it in. Another of those young, promising Pies.
Elliott preparing to come back on. He's had his spell. Spells danger for the Hawks.
5 goals for Jamie Elliott in that opening term. 3 in the first, 2 in the second. Henry launches at the footy and takes a good mark. You know what a talent he is. 17th pick in the draft last year. Goes short to Lipinski. The Pies have built the ball up well. We talked right from the outset about the fact that they're going backward a hell of a lot less this season. Would have been the exact example here. They would have chipped it around the Cape to come back the other way, but it's a lot more direct.
Yeah, well, it's having the licence and the game style that is backing your players in and their skills to be able to hit targets, but also for the players up the field creating good options for their teammates ahead of the footy.
Henry involved again, squaring kick. Grundy knocked it down, and then Henry got a high tackle from Mitchell, who was in secondary to that of Hardwick.
That was just a welcome to the big league.
So Ollie Henry, 10 games last season in his rookie campaign. Pulls out the pitching wedge and tees it up to full forward. Big run at that. Ginnivan tumbles it toward goal. Dragged down off the footy was Kruger. No free kick. Frost bursts away for the Hawks. Measures the pass nicely to Warple. He turns to go. He's got plenty of speed to burn too, James Warple. Oh, the Warpedo just rams it forward. Lewis is on the end of it, and that's probably the best passage of play from the Hawks all day.
Just very simple, wasn't it? It could have almost been a free kick in the goal square at the other end, but Frost gets it, puts the head down, hits a target. Warple takes the opposition on, and that's what you love as a forward. Just quick, direct footy. You are out the back in a flash. Nothing the Pies defenders could do, and Mitch Lewis strolls into an open goal and kicks truly.
So Lewis had an interrupted, a very strange season last year after the boxing accident. Played the 14 games in the end and kicked the 22 goals, but he's athletic for days, he's springy, he's long. If he can string it all together, he could be a pretty imposing figure.
Yeah, had a huge pre-season, Mitch. He's been in the gym ever since the season finished. He's lighting up the track. He's really, really hungry. You can probably see his opportunity there. He wants to grab it with both hands. He's been doing that on the track. He just needs to translate that into the games now. He's kicked a lot of goals in the intra-clubs, matches that the Hawks have played the last couple of weeks. And I think the game style that Sam will want to play, that more attacking, go-forward style, will suit the forwards and especially Mitch this year.
So the Hawks come forward again. The football hitting it solidly, not being able to really do a lot with it. And Tyler Brown's taken the mark at half-back. After Gunston thrown down in the tackle. Maynard out wide. Have used it well. The left boot of Pendlebury sends the Pies to half forward.
Commentator's curse, mate.
Yep, cutting it off to Sicily every time. Every time.
Never fails.
Joel Peterson and Steve Gillen with you on KO Sports on your Friday evening. Nice way to end the week for Pies and Hawks fans and footy fans in general before a big weekend of practice matches and AFLW rolling into round 8 as well. Big year for the Hawks, of course, the AFLW side coming in potentially later in the year with this season maybe starting in September.
Yeah, the Hawks are really excited to finally have the licence and signed their first player at the end of last week. So everyone at the club's really excited about that, and Beck Goddard and her team putting the list together. So really exciting times for female footballers that follow the brown and gold, that they'll have their own team as early as potentially September this year.
Look at the link up here from Hawthorn. Mitchell forward to Warple, tumbles it inside the 50. Kick left a little bit to be desired. And the Hawks will be able to, the Pies will be able to send it back the other way. Tumbling ball outside the defensive 50. Nathan Murphy slammed it out toward the wing. It'll be thrown back in. If Pies fans down at Morwell.
Pies fans everywhere, aren't they?
Yes.
Wherever you play, there's always a black and white army turnout in force. It's fantastic.
Won't get away from them. Guinness at the stoppage. Handball sharked by Josh Dacos to Nick. Bianco's got it on the wing. A little bit of overlap run from Elliott, who's back on the grounds. Handball inboard to Josh Dacos, who sends it to full forward. Oh, big rise there from Cameron. Couldn't take the mark. Bramble's bursting away and with a bounce for the Hawks. Goes straight up the corridor. Half volley mark not paid to Gunston, who's immediately tackled by 3 Collingwood players. Not much room to move for Jack Gunston.
All over them, the Pies. It's great to see Lockie Bramble getting his hands on the footy so much. Great leg speed, usually uses the ball really well and sets up scoring chains for the Hawks. Been really good in these first 3 quarters.
Another opportunity across half forward for the Pies. Scrimshaw and Sicily are going to be a pretty solid defensive unit going forward, you'd imagine. Hardwick in there to combine with them as well. Gunston with a chance, rumbles it forward. Mitchell, handball out wide to Warple. Hooks it to full forward. Lewis is up, can't take the mark. Crummer's there for the Hawks. Dylan Moore has a go. Dean got enough of him to worry him out of it. Now in the back 50 is Ginnivan, unfamiliar territory for him. Nick Dacos to Moore. Darcy Moore steadies the ship by foot to Noble, and now to Josh Dacos. He sends it outside the defensive 50. Warple did enough. Good defensive pressure from the Hawks.
Geez, he's had a big quarter. James Warple for the Hawks, getting, kicking goals, setting it up, and also putting the defensive pressure on there. He's really stepped up, leading the way. Really good to see. If you're a Hawks supporter, that sort of effort.
Hawks and Lynch. Lynch wins it down to Ward, to McDonald. A couple of the youngsters for the Hawks combined to send it to full forward. Off the ground, having a go and being able to sneak it home. That's a nice finish from Seamus Mitchell. A little bit of pace on the footy for the Hawks, and they sneak one through their 6th of the game.
Just feel that the last couple of minutes they've really dug in with their pressure, getting it forward, creating opportunities for their forwards to get a look, and just something out of nothing. Right place, right time, read it off hands, off the deck, like small forwards can do. So crafty, so skillful. Those sort of opportunities and making the most of them. Just feel that they've wrestled the momentum back a little bit. Couple of little errors by Collingwood coming out of the back line, whether by hand or foot, just giving Hawthorn looks they've been able to take finally after wasting a few opportunities in that second term. Still got a fair way to go though to claw back that lead.
Fox in the middle of the grounds. Free kick given away off the footy. Lynch will take it. The former Pie. The Hawks. Handball to Mitchell. He's been really getting involved, sending Hawthorn forward. More across to spoil for the Pies. Josh Dacos has had a busy turn. Noble drives it off half-back Elliott. Well, if he's not doing it inside the 50, he's up on the wing and presenting strongly.
Looks really good, doesn't he? Looks really fit. Some really good touch. Confidence is high.
He's doing his best. He looks springy and really, really lively, and he's certainly been that so far. Nice deft little pass from Grundy there, the touch pass into the path of Lipinski. It's beyond his range, even with a bit of assistance from the breeze. Kick not what he desired by any stretch.
It's the fatigue a little bit now. Creep into the players' legs. Playing 30-minute quarters for the first time for the year against a decent opposition. Might see the game slow down a little bit in the next 3 quarters.
Ball forced toward the boundary line and go out. Moore be happy to see it across.
Some of the Hawks faithful there. Just see some brown and gold in the represented in the stands. Just great to have crowds back at the footy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Joel, great to see the prospect of round 1 with 100% capacity. Just going to be an amazing atmosphere, you'd think, at that first game at the MCG for the grand final rematch.
Footy back in the regions as well. It's been limited to the main venues over the last 18 or so months. Really, probably 24 months now. It's gone on that long, everything that we've been dealing with through the COVID pandemic. Moore read it nicely off hands for Hawthorn. Kicks inside the 50 and Lewis has it. Wants to find an option to go to. Kicks to the pocket. Gunston floats down. Shields, in fact, it is who takes the mark. Back with the flight of the footy, read it nicely.
Great kick by Mitch Lewis, just put it to Liam's advantage. You can see him running towards goal. Just couldn't quite get the journey himself, so he played on. Found a teammate closer to goal. Hopefully Pup can go back and nail this goal late stages in term 3.
Such a dependable player for so many seasons, and Liam Shields has no problems with that. As you'd imagine, he makes it count, and the Hawks have 6 on the board.
Yeah, it's been a good sort of period of 5 minutes for the Hawks. They've kicked a couple of goals. They've looked like they've been dangerous going forward of the footy. Lewis is getting his hands on it. Lynch is up there. Cozzy, so they're fairly tall. Connor Nash is down there as well. And Dylan Moore mopping up everything on the ground as well.
The Collingwood hierarchy watch on. Jordan Roughhead, one of the injured pies at the front of the grandstand there.
Bit of a Hawthorn flavour with Craig McRae and Brendan Bolton and Graham Wright. Know the Hawks really well.
Done a good job of exploiting some of that knowledge early in the game today. Cox out of the middle, Lipinski. Handball forward, now Josh Dacos. Low inside the arc. Adams did well to make something of it. Dacos will get back around on the left boot. Sends it to full forward. Myercheck pulls it in. Did he play on? Yes, umpire said he did. He went, he stopped, he tried to throw it on the boot. Eventually he almost fell over as he was among it all and got caught.
I reckon he thought there was a chance that the umpire might have called it touch, so he just wanted to play on and make sure, but then when the umpire blew his whistle, he wanted to stop.
He was in, well, I'm not sure he was in 2, might have been in 3 minds there potentially, Brody Myercheck. He was a little bit unfortunate at the top of the goal square. The Hawks able to scramble it clear. Yeah, first, I mean,
he claimed it.
Yeah, and then he's hit his knee. So he might not have the right to be able to claim he thought it was touched, because if you go up and claim the mark, I think you forfeit the...
Yeah, well, he convinced the umpire. He didn't convince himself.
You got priority number 1 before priority number 2. He's been pretty prolific inside the forward 50 so far for the Pies, with a few goals as Myercheck. A stoppage. Henry works his way through for Collingwood. Warple been great in this 3rd term. A goal earlier in the piece. A dangerous moment for Scrimshaw. Handball toward Morrison, who can't keep it in.
Just the pressure. They're just maintaining that pressure. hunting the Hawks ball carrier, 1, 2, 3 handballs, and ultimately lock it inside their forward 50, get another stoppage, get another look.
Bruce up the back of the grandstand there, chatting to Chris Newman. The injured Hawks not out there today for Hawthorn. Henry has a go off the ground, it was almost like a cross, trying to hook it back toward the 18-yard box. As the siren sounds for the end of the third period here at Morwell Recreation Reserve, and Collingwood have been dominant this game. Another enterprising term, although better from the Hawks, able to hit the scoreboard, create some more opportunities, and at least offensively speaking, Steve Gillam, they a little bit better that term, Hawthorn.
They're just having to work super hard for their opportunities, and a couple of times they made something out of nothing. Morphle kicked one from the boundary. It was a pretty miraculous goal that he jammed on his boot from a Junk Gunston free kick inside 50, and then Seamus Mitchell was a nice bit of forward craft to get off hands and kick one through, and Mitch Lewis set up Liam Shields there late in the term, so they were able to claw something back and get some reward for effort going forward and kick truly. They've missed a few shots they should have got, but conversely, Collingwood have just been able to maintain the rage both with the ball and without it, hunting Hawthorn, forcing them to retreat and make mistakes and capitalising. Myercheck's been in everything, Jamie Elliott the same. The Dacos boys probably with a highlight in that quarter. Josh feeding Nick for the goal. It was great to see. And if you're a Pies supporter, you're sitting pretty happy after 3 periods with what you've seen from your side. As I said, both with their pressure, which is elite, right across the ground, and then giving their forwards a really good opportunity. And a return of 18 goals 3 through 3